Dictionary.com defines an unplanned approach as impromptu, done without preparation, unwitting, done without awareness, spontaneous, done without thought. Wait a minute. That means you guys don't have a plan?
No.
Well, that's dumb. You might as well start the show.
Get out of here. Punk, come down here and start playing around. Yeah, right.
Hey, Dad, can I be on the podcast? Yeah, we'll let you do the intro.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Cracks me up every time.
Every time.
She thinks she's big shit.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean, I'm probably telling all our friends that what it did do is it caused animosity, Kyle, in the house with the other two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet.
The middle one's like, of course, she gets to do it. And I'm like, fine, you can do the outro. So
Wait till she comes down here and I'll say she did it because you say she's the favorite.
So we're back.
We are back.
Episode, well, I don't know. We can't put the number on it. We've got 30 episodes, right? 31 coming. So this will be that. Yeah. 32.
32 or 33, depending on how we number it, or if we skip a number.
I've been real excited about this one, Kyle. This is one that some of the stories that will be told on this one I've heard in the past, but probably not as in depth as they might go this time. But we've got the reason that I am so classic on the mic and well trained is because of this guy. This guy's my protege, or I'm his protege, or he's my whatever. Professional. Inspiration. Professional
progenitor.
Former professional broadcaster.
Yeah.
Top-notch concrete chemical salesman.
Right.
You know? I mean, so if anybody's interested in that, we can go in that route. We can go there. But a great life span of great stories and adventures. It's my dad. And today we're going to talk because the month of May is coming. In the month of May, you've got the Kentucky Derby and the Indianapolis 500. And this guy's got some great stories about it. So I'd like to introduce you. This is my dad. This is my dad, John.
Well, thank you. I wasn't a professional broadcaster, kind of very, very semi, but a lot of different stuff. So, yeah, I never thought it'd be like on Bob and Tom or whatever this is.
So close.
Jason, it's really close, yeah. Well, there's a lot of comparisons are being drawn.
Close enough. Great. Well, thanks for having me on.
So the more you spin like that,
you're
getting a Doppler effect.
I am.
Sounds like you're in a helicopter.
So I don't know if I'm coming.
Maybe you should just report on the traffic.
So I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Right.
Perfect. So you guys what do you want to talk about the old days? Huh?
Some of the things I've heard, I know that because the broadcasting stuff, he constantly gets on the kids when they have to read in church or something like that.
Sure.
Slow down.
Do it right.
Up, do it right. And we always get complimented on that because the kids read really well. All of them, all the grandkids
Slow down, diction, project.
Exactly.
Enunciate.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know. I kind of fooled around with broadcasting for a while. I know when I was in college, I actually got into communication arts as a major and worked on the radio doing some stuff, and then here WIFE radio here in Indianapolis, if you remember that.
I do.
I was taking flying lessons down at Greenwood Airport, and they had the contract to do the traffic report.
Pull the mic up to you. You're good?
Just spin it to you.
Spin it to you, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
They had the contract to do the air traffic reports. And so the guy's name was Scotty Wright. That's the name everybody used. It was actually about 5 different people. I was one of them.
One of the 5.
And a few of them were members of the sheriff's department. So we did that and fly around. And that was quite an experience. I mean, you'd have to, you had to go up like 3:10 in the afternoon, and then I had like the afternoon deal. So, so when they went to you for traffic, a lot of times there wasn't anything happening.
Right. So you just fly around.
So I made up stuff. I go like, Traffic on the south side of Indianapolis moving along smoothly. However, we do have a backlog forming at Hannah and Shelby. Motorists in the area should be alert to this condition. Scotty Riot Airwatch 13 clear. And there was nothing.
There was nothing. Just be aware.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
So have you ever listened to one of those reports and you drive through an intersection and go, there's nothing happening.
It's because, right.
That's the reason, but you had to say something. So
Sure.
you'd make up shit.
It had to be like what OJ was like.
Right.
There's a backup on the other
There's a
side.
backup.
No, there's not.
Well, there was a broadcast for the afternoon show. There was a DJ, Jay Reynolds. And he was a hotshot jock. And he ended up going to WABC New York. I mean, he was pretty big time. And he'd sit down there on Meridian Street at their window on the world, they call it.
Oh, yeah.
And I had like 3 microphones. I had 3 headsets. I had a headset with 2 stations. I had the station. I had the radio broadcast. And on the bottom, there was a speaker, I think, and I had air traffic or something. I wasn't flying. Another guy was flying, and I'd do this. So anyhow, he was always on me. I'd come on, and he'd go, after we'd get done, he'd put on a record, and he'd say, you got to go faster. You got to go faster. You know, you give me dead air here. And I'm thinking, it's crazy, because I had friends that listened to it, and they'd say, man, I couldn't, you were going so fast, you know. But I was doing it the right way, but he was just kind of an ass. So
Right.
anyhow.
That's on you, Jay. That's what I say.
So anyhow.
We're Team John over here.
That's right.
Screw you, Jay.
So I worked on my speed, and I got it down. I was quite proud that I finally got it about as fast as I could go, and that broadcast would come out.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, you sound like the Micro Machine commercial. Right. How fast can I go?
So anyhow, I did that, and then I did our college. I went to Xavier in Cincinnati, and so for a season, I did the play-by-play broadcast of Xavier, and we'd go out on site. And I remember one time, one of the big ones was going up to Milwaukee to do Marquette. And I remember coming on the air with from the Milwaukee Sports Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the beer capital of the world. This is the exclusive, and then I'd go on. You know.
Right.
And it was kind of cool because Marquette was pretty hot back then with Al McGuire, and they had Dean the Dream Meminger. And I remember I was sitting, our broadcast position was at the end of the broadcast bench down in front. And at some point in the game, Al McGuire, there was a foul call or something. Al McGuire got up and started yelling with the referee right around the corner from here. So I grabbed my microphone and I went around the corner and I stuck the microphone between them. And Al McGuire looks at me and he draws his fist back and I go, Al McGuire almost punched me. I almost got punched by Al McGuire as I run back around. So, and then it was kind of funny. It was a few weeks later. I was on an airplane. We were going someplace, a few of us, I guess. Maybe the broadcast. I don't know. But the Marquette basketball team was on the radio, on the plane. We're sitting in back, and they're all screwing around over here in the next aisle over, and Al McGuire's in front of me. And I thought, that's Al McGuire sitting in front of me. You know, and I thought, I better not get up and go and look, take a look at him. Right. It might like be a flashback for him. He goes, oh my God, and draws his fist back, and then finally does co-cock me. But anyhow, so did that, and that was kind of fun. We had different people on. I remember Jim Taylor from the Green Bay Packers. He was on as a broadcast guest, and I would scoot Dairy Queen commercials over to him to do, you know. And he didn't want to do them, and I just say,
do it.
So that was kind of cool. And then I did public address system, like over at the high school for football games. Did some television play-by-play for Comcast one year, and on a couple CYO championship football games. And
don't sell yourself short. You also did some commercials. Could you do the tagline from Loeffner's? They listen.
From Loftner's.
Yeah, the original Loftners.
Yeah, original Loftners. Yeah, it was a little TV ad.
Yeah. Look who's eating at Loftner's and
Loving it. Yeah, that's right. Well, I was taking a piece of coconut cream pie. Mm-hmm. That's what I was supposed to do. And so they had about 6 or 8 of them lined up there.
You're in like a coma.
Yeah. Because I think they thought it was better to work with a sugar high.
Right.
No,
lost 3 toes in that metal.
Well, the deal is when you went to put the fork in the pie, anything could happen. You could slide the top of the meringue off, or whatever. So, you had to make a clean cut, get it off, get it in your mouth, do your expressions and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I think I did it in like 2 takes or
see where the talent comes from.
Right.
2 pieces of pie. I don't know.
Now, one thing that I do have to comment as I'm sitting here listening, that I love the announcer voice. If I were you, I'd be doing it at all times. So tell me, Jason, what's going on with this floor? You'd hit the ball a lot better if you kept your head down. It'd be so much fun.
That is funny. I don't use that voice except when I get behind like a microphone.
Right.
His alter ego comes out.
Normally I have kind of a lazy Hoosier twang. And,
right.
But whenever I do something professionally, I'd talk it over there.
Right, I love it.
And I remember being over at a radio station in northern Kentucky, across from Cincinnati, across the river, and it was some guy I knew, and he was a news guy over there, and we're standing in the hallway before he goes in to give the news, and he's just talking, and going on and stuff, and we're just talking, and he said, "Hey, I got to do this." And I said, "Oh, okay." He says, "Wait here." So he goes into the newsroom, and I thought I'll give him a listen. He'll go, "And this is Jay Hendricks with WCXE." And I go, "What the heck?
Who is this guy?" Right.
Who is this guy? And I look at him, is that really him? But anyhow, he had his normal conversation voice and the radio voice. And there was a couple times over the years I'd have to give a little thing, maybe in church or something, a little speech or something, a promotion. And here again, I had to watch that voice, because people that knew me would be thinking, "What the hell? Who does he think he is?"
Brockmeyer.
Yeah. So I just kind of shied away from ever doing that. And I remember being a sales guy on the road for years, with the CB radios, truck drivers going down. Back then when you had a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit and you thought you were stopped, it was so slow. You'd go, breaker, breaker, that roadway westbound, how's it looking behind you?
Right.
Of course, everybody on there was talking like a hillbilly, and here I come on, breaker, breaker for that roadway, how's it looking behind you, good buddy? And some guy'd come on and go, "Who the hell's that, Walter?" Is that Walter Crank? I thought, but it was just kind of natural sliding into that voice behind it, So
sure,
yeah.
That's how he got my mom.
I like it.
He's like,
right.
"Hello."
You'd like to go out on a date with me, wouldn't you?
Yes.
He must be some kind of celebrity.
He must be a celebrity.
See, you got to be real careful.
Is that the Loftner's guy?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that's.
He thinks we're amateurs.
No way, this is professional.
So anyhow, that's the stuff there. So,
That's great.
Well, it was a good time. Like I said, did a lot of different stuff, and I get pissed, at broadcasters that spend too much time, like on TV. You see them football games, stuff like that. Talking about stuff that isn't going on the field, and the referee gives a signal, and they're talking about something else, and you're thinking, what was that about? What? So so I get.
Say what you see.
Right.
Say what you see.
And I get pissed at, public address announcers at football games, stuff like that, not giving, like tackles, stuff like that.
Sure.
When we did TV or I do radio, I'd have spotters and I'd say, okay, I kind of know who's running the ball. We kind of know this and that, I had 2 signs. I had a big sign up to the left and one to the right, and I had the rosters, offense and defense, and the numbers. And I'd tell them, on a run or a reception, point to the guy.
Oh, right.
And, on a tackle, I'd say, try to give me 2 tacklers.
Sure.
And, give me, unless it's an obvious solo tackle, give me 2 guys.
Right.
Because let's face it, the people listening to a high school game are parents and grandparents, and
they want their kid announced. Absolutely.
Yeah, if the kid does something, makes a great block, makes a tackle, give him some credit. I just can't stand it when guys aren't given, for instance, the defense.
Right.
Obviously, they don't have a spotter. But anyhow.
Well, you want to know how I benefited from having a dad that just could do all that.
You got a lot of really good instruction. No.
His greatest advice, because he was always doing it, was always be the last person off the pile.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna get announced. So I'd go flying onto it, and then I'd roll around down there till everybody got up and go, well, here, number 87 is a tackler.
Jaffe's everywhere.
This guy's leading the country in tackles.
He's got 185 tackles.
That's right. Be the last one up.
That's great.
So that is a great background there.
Yes.
And now you know. I just wanted everybody to know where the talent came from.
Right. Here it is.
Of course, it's
the culmination.
It skipped his other 2 kids. I just happened to absorb all of it.
Right.
And the humility.
True.
But the month of May in Indiana is huge, because I know the Kentucky Derby is not in Indiana, but it's on the, it's just south of us. So they kind of run in tandem, the Kentucky Derby and the Indianapolis 500. And this man here has got some great stories about it. How many 500s have you been to?
Oh, I don't know, probably 30, 35. I went all the time until maybe 15 years ago.
Right.
So,
and then you start going to NASCAR. I remember your first couple NASCAR.
I was never a big NASCAR fan. I did go to Talladega twice, and I went out to Indianapolis Motor Speedway when they first started having it.
Right.
I was always an IndyCar.
Yeah, I think I went to 4 or 5, the Brickyard.
Yeah.
I went to the first 4 or 5, and then after that, NASCAR never really lit me on fire either.
Leader, man. Follow the leader, too.
Yeah, I definitely went to the track. I went to the 500.
Right. But I'm interested because I'm kind of interested in, I know you've got some great stories about all that stuff, but also how you think it's changed from the original back in its heyday, its glory days, the Indianapolis 500 when you were going.
Well, I noticed like your buddies, and you've got a couple in particular, they're big 500-mile race fans. And, of course, they talk about the modern era, the newer guys from the last 15, 20 years. But when we went out there, when we were in high school and college, I mean, it was a totally different era. You had your Foyts and you had big-time guys, but, man, they get killed out there. I personally saw 3 guys get killed right in front of me.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah, and it wasn't a good thing. It was...
Never is a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. I was going to say, I've never seen anybody die. I've seen 2 babies conceived on the way out of the infield. It's like, what are they doing? You know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, that's some good stuff. But anyhow, back in those days, I mean, it was rough, and you felt guilty. I know. Remember, I forget his name. They had to come to me, but we were always in the first turn on the outside of the track. And,
okay.
And the real action time would be the morning of first day of qualifications when they were doing their hot laps or practicing for the start of qualifications. And one guy came, and they were in the roadsters. They went the rear engine.
Okay, yeah.
But he just spun sideways. Chuck Rohde, that was his name, Chuck Rohde. And he went sideways and then all of a sudden backed up into the wall, and his head just dropped on his chest. And I thought, wow, hit that hard. Well, they came out and they checked him over and put a sheet over him and took the car away. I mean, he broke his neck right there. And then Art Pollard on the first day of qualifications, he was a popular driver, and our wives were out there with us, a bunch of us, but a few of them had gone to the restroom. Your mom missed it, which is a good thing, but it was terrible. He kept flying down that straightaway, and he was in a rear-engine car. Went right into the wall, kind of blew up, and then went down the South Chute, and we thought, who was that? Well, whoever it was, he'd got to be dead, and he was. So it was a tragic thing. It was really different back then.
Right.
But And I mean, there were just so many good stories. But, well, anyhow, we got the Kentucky Derby coming up. Do you still want to talk about?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hit the Derby first. We'll come back to the 500.
Yeah, we'll circle around.
Yeah, I'm trying to get over seeing those awful accidents.
Oh, no. Right.
They just fly.
And I never saw a big crash in the Derby.
That would be
That would be tough.
a NASCAR crash.
Right, just
in the Kentucky
15 horses in a heap.
There were never any flames, you know.
Right.
Fire wasn't going to be a problem.
I think that little guy's on fire.
Well, actually, the Kentucky Derby, I unfortunately only went to one. Okay? But it was enough to fill a lifetime.
Oh, it's one of those, huh?
Yeah, it was. Well, I was a freshman. It was 1967, actually. I kind of looked it up the other day, did some research. At Xavier in Cincinnati, apparently it was a big tradition and it was an all-guys school. But a ton of them would head over to Louisville to get in the first turn, which was a snake pit.
Sure.
You know, same thing almost as Indianapolis. And be in the first turn, get there early. I remember when we came in. Well, here's the deal. It was 1967, and a comedian, Dick Gregory, black comedian, funny guy, activist. He had got the NAACP had decided they were going to boycott the Derby, and I guess that got to be a big deal. I didn't know anything about it, found out kind of later, but so they announced they were going to hold up the Derby, get on the track, boycott it and stuff, and that was a big deal in Louisville. So apparently the Ku Klux Klan sent some kind of a message to the city of Louisville saying, don't worry about it, we'll be there.
Well, yeah,
great.
We're going to send our sophisticates out there, all those spelling bee champions. Yeah, come make sure.
Yeah, terrific. So, and some wise asses from Xavier, I guess, sent something down there saying, don't worry about, the protesters, don't worry about the KKK, because we'll be there. So I wasn't really aware of all this, but we get down to Louisville, and matter of fact, the funny thing was, pulling up, there were a bunch of vacant lots across from Churchill Downs, and some of our smarter compatriots got out of the car and had signs, parking $5. It was free parking.
Right.
So they collected a nice little sum of
Right.
money from people pulling in and had money to gamble and stuff, went on into the track. I thought that was clever.
Yeah, buy some hats.
Yeah. But, and going in, they were checking our coolers. Now, you'd think they'd be checking for booze. No,
Right.
They were checking for weapons. They didn't care about the booze. So anyhow, we get in there, and so next thing you know, there's 150 of us in the first turn clowning around. It's 7:30 in the morning, and it wasn't even a lot of drinking going on. I didn't have a thing yet at all.
Allegedly.
And
I like that he puts the yet on there.
well, it was just kind of early.
Right.
So a few of us start chicken fighting or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Putting a guy on your shoulder, and wrestling the guy off.
Right.
Here comes a bunch of cops with riot helmets and baseball club like their batons, come charging into the crowd. I thought, holy crap, so we start running. And I start running. I'm doing a pretty good job, I thought, trying to blend into the crowd. And I was taking a shirt off, a sweatshirt, as I went, disguising myself.
Well, you were doing a good job of disguising the guy sitting on your shoulder. Right.
He gave it away.
How did you know?
And I don't think I was the only one, and I don't know why the hell I started running. That was probably a mistake. So I'm going through the crowd, and I remember I had two guys behind me, two sheriff's guys or something, and I'm heading for a cooler, and so I thought, what can I do with that cooler? So I feign right, I go left, and they keep going and fall over the cooler. So
Right out of
So right. It's a Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Right.
probably now they're really aggravated.
Right.
So I think I'm doing pretty good running through the crowd, and the next thing I know, I'm out. There's no crowd. I'm out in the open. I think, oh my God! Here come some guys with the batons, and I drop to the ground, put my hands over my head, and they grab me and throw us in the paddy wagons, and so We're in the paddy wagons and went down to the Louisville jail, Jefferson County or whatever it is jail. So that's where we were, and some cool things happened there.
Cool things happened in jail.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do it again, but it was kind of an enjoyable, different kind of experience.
Right.
They put us in 8-man cells, and then there was a common area with picnic tables, and like every hour and a half or so, they'd let us out to visit with the other guys.
Right. Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Just what we wanted to do, visit with other prisoners. And
down here in cell block D.
all quiet. So I remember there was I was kind of wandering around. There was a big guy, big muscular guy sitting on a picnic table, black guy, and I find myself kind of in front of him, Turn around, I kind of look at him. He says, "What you in here for?" And I go, chicken fighting. And he goes, "What? You mean you had chicken?" I said, "No." I said, "No."
Wow.
So I said, "What are you in here for?" He goes, "Manslaughter."
Right. I'd beat a guy to death.
I thought I might be in the wrong cell block.
Guard! Oh, guard.
So then I remember lunch, and sat down and got a piece of rye bread and a bowl of ham and bean soup, but it had kind of a sheen on the top of it.
Right.
And I thought, I'm not going to eat this. And I scooted in front of him. I scooted it away. And there was a guy that looked like he was down on his luck badly. And he looks up and says, "You're not going to eat that?" I said, "No." He said, "Can I have it?" I said, "Sure." So I give him that. And then we ended up back in the cell. And I'm in there, of course, with 8-man cell. And I'm in jail with probably, 40 of my closest associates.
Right, right.
School, right. So we're in there, and I remember a guy in the cell with us, and he was a young guy, probably in his late 20s, and he had a suit on with a string tie, or not a string tie, but one of those thin ties.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ties. And he's just shaking his head, going, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh my God," And so we said, "Well, what's the problem? What have they got you in here for?" He says, "Oh man," he said, "well, I was scalping tickets." He said, "But God," he said, I'd kill myself if I had to spend a night in here. I was in here," he said, "a year ago or a couple of years ago, and I saw a guy almost get beat to death across the cell from me." He said, I just can't stand it, but I don't know what to do." And so one of my classmates, who was probably a year ahead or more, but he was kind of a sophisticated-looking guy. He says, "So you're in here for ticket scalping?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "How much money you got on it?" He says, "I don't know, maybe $50. Now, this is back in 1967, right? $50. So he goes, "Well, here's the deal. If I was you, I'd just plead guilty. I mean, they give you a fine, you pay your fine, you leave. If you don't plead guilty, you're going to have to put up bail, you're going to have to get an attorney, The guy goes, "Oh, my God." He says, "You think so?" He says, "Yeah, that's what I do, So I remember after he went out later that evening at night, to appear, and they would take us out one by one, And so then they'd walk us in front of the judge, and so then there were like Xavier guys sitting out there, and they'd see you come up, and they'd look, and you turn to them after you talk to the judge, and give them how many fingers, like what your fine was, and somebody'd write it down and say, "I'll pay for him," So then they'd take you over to this other cell before they turned you loose while your fine was paid. Walking there, and here's this ticket scalper. He's in a corner, just a mess. And I said to somebody, I said, "What happened to him? Why is he so upset?" He said, "Well, he pleaded guilty to ticket scalping. They gave him 30 days and a $200 fine." I thought, well, free advice.
Right.
What's it worth? So I thought, oh my God. So that was one of the deals. And then there was a guy that got thrown in.
Put the mic up closer to your...
No, just twist a little. That's it. Yeah, there.
Like that?
Perfect. Yep.
So
I think that's all we're missing.
Sensitive mic.
It's real directional. Off to the side, it gets a little
So
wonky.
do I have to repeat this whole thing again?
If you won, it was a great story.
But no, pointed, I think it'll catch you great now.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, see?
So anyhow, that was pretty much that.
So you only got to go to one? You only went to
I
one?
only got to go to one, and of course, over the years, your mom and I, we've been down Churchill Downs with friends and stuff. A lot of times, you know.
I've done that in the River Downs a number of times.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
I
good
got
time.
story about River Downs. So anyhow,
We'll just say it was at the Kentucky Derby.
That doesn't say
anyhow-
it's horse racing.
so anyhow, Mary would say, "How come you've never taken me to the Kentucky Derby?" I go, "Are you kidding? The way they treated me the first time."
Every time I go there, I get arrested.
We certainly aren't chicken fighting.
Right, you're not doing that.
Well, I remember going in front of the judge, and he says, "Now let's see, they've got you chicken fighting," and there was some titters and laughter in the
right.
courtroom, and he goes, "You had 2 chickens, and you were," I said, "No, Your Honor," I said, "We had guys on each other's shoulders, and we were just kind of wrestling each other." And he goes, "Oh," kind of laughs, I thought, well, good, he's going to let me go. He says, "Oh, $10 fine, disorderly conduct." I go, "What the hell?" So anyway, that was my $10, and I had to pay it and leave.
When you go back, when you used to go back down there with Mom, when you go up in the stands or whatever, do you have the first image is you running across the infield?
Right. There's where I ran. Look, Sally.
Come here. You know, when he's talking about being in front of the judge, what I'm picturing is in Animal House.
Oh,
when
right.
he's giving the speech, he goes, "Somebody tell those assholes to shut up. Shut up, you assholes."
I'll tell you one thing that was funny. While we were in there waiting, they brought some guy up, and I don't know if he was a classmate or not, but probably, I don't know what was wrong with him. He's kind of goofball. And judge starts talking to him, and guy says, judge says, "You want to explain what you were doing or whatever?" And the guy, he kind of makes like he pulls out his phone. He says, "Scotty, beam me aboard." From Star Trek. And
I like it.
I thought that's hilarious. I can't remember what the judge's reaction was, but I thought
Maybe he asked another cellmate, "What would you do?" I think I'd play like I was in Star Trek.
Plead insanity.
Right.
I'm just gonna start talking to my
Yeah,
belt buckle.
that's a PSA for the audience. Be careful who you ask advice from. You might be asking an idiot.
So we've got background checks now. And
Right. Right. Background checks and
that's good stuff. So, I mean, you could tell the other one about the other horse. What track was it? River
Downs in Cincinnati. Of course, so we go out there once in a while, and we do all right. See, horse racing, a bunch of us, the guys that run around with now, for quite a few years.
Those that are left.
Yeah, those are the left of us. We'd go down to Churchill Downs in May, and maybe 15 of us, and we'd, have a day down there, and we'd be up in the suite, and because we'd grown up, we weren't in
right. No, you're not doing like a carnival cruise.
we aren't doing that.
No, nobody's got time for that.
So anyhow, we'd be up there, and we'd each throw in like $100 and raise quite a bit of money, and then we'd go and make a bunch of trifecta bets or something, And in the early days, I mean, we hit 1 or 2 for $5,000 or so, and that
Nice.
that was pretty good. But I tell you what, they cleaned up horse racing so much that it's like you can't make any money on it now. You get the 3 to 2s and the 5 to 3s.
They're so good at handicapping it,
and you
right?
can hit all the horses, but they might not pay anything, But back in the day in Cincinnati at River Downs, you go out there, and we learned to bet the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1s. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if we fooled with 3 to 1s. We went 4 to 1, and we'd win money.
Right.
And after coming back, like Lou and some of us, we'd go down to the best steakhouse in Cincinnati and get a steak. I mean, you won $150, $200 back in 1969.
Right.
You were doing good. So we'd win money down there. I think there's a lot of fixing, I think, of horse racing. Matter of fact, we knew one guy that was kind of connected someplace, and he'd give us a tip once in a while.
Uh-huh.
And I said, how do you do that? And he goes, oh, no big deal. He said, these guys, he said, they run the horse in the wrong race, and the odds go up, and then they put it in the right race, or feed a horse right before the race, and he's sluggish, and they get the odds where they want it. And then but today, I guess it's so honest, you can't really make a buck, So, anyhow, that was the one down in Cincinnati.
That's good advice, man, for all you gamblers. I know we've got some
Just
degenerates out there.
Right. Oh,
They're
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
so we just have to feed the horse first? That's
Right.
all we got to do.
That's all we got to do.
What does it eat? Snickers bars. Right. Putting carrots in front of it. Get out of here. You can't be in here. Oh, that's
Can't
good
feed
stuff.
a horse chili.
And he's in a puff of smoke. He's off, man. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with the 500. Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for today's episode. But before you go, ask yourself this. What's your unplanned story? Because here on Unplanned Approach, we don't script the chaos. We celebrate it. Real people, real moments, real life plot twists that no one saw coming. Whether it was a chance encounter, a missed train, or a wild pivot that changed everything. We want to hear it. Got a story that deserves the mic? Hit us up. Submit yours at unplannedapproach.com or find us on socials at Unplanned Approach. Until next time, stay spontaneous, stay real, and never underestimate going in without a plan. This is Unplanned Approach, where the detour